Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LOBoratory. I am Holy Chantal, your host and lead MAD brand scientist. I'm the president of the Land of Brand. If you've never joined us before, this is a free weekly webinar. It's every Wednesday at 12 o'clock Eastern. And we talk about different topics in building your brand. Today, we're going to be talking about filling group programs. So how do you know when you're ready? And how do you go about actually filling group programs so that you can really leverage your time? And today is also a special episode because I've been away for a month. I am back. I had my second son, and he is sleeping away at my side. I wish I could show him to you, but I'd have to move the whole computer. That wouldn't really work. Chances are he's probably going to wake up during the presentation just because he's been sleeping long enough, so you might get to see him then. So let's go ahead and move over to the presentation. I'm just going to share my screen so that you can actually see the slides. All right. So, as I said, we meet every Wednesday, 12 o'clock Eastern. Membership is totally free for these webinars. There are replays available. They will be posted to the blog. So even if you miss one, you can always catch up, though we do like to have you live so that we can have some discussion, answer questions. And of course, I also love to hear the topics you want to hear about because really these webinars are to serve you. So I'm always looking for inspiration, for ideas for what you guys would like to learn. So feel free to ask questions in the chat, and let's go ahead and get started. So, as I said, today's topic is filling your groups, how to know when it's time to go group. And before we get started, I just got to show you a couple obligatory baby pictures. I know that some of you are curious, and you guys being my inner circle, I'm going to give you your little baby fix. So this is Gavin Perry. The photo on the left is him in the hospital as we're leaving. He obviously looks super cute. I mean, look at those cheeks. And then the one on the right is Evan, my 2-year-old, and Gavin looking at each other lovingly. So hopefully you enjoy that little peek into the cuteness that I get to experience every single day. All right, so what are we going to cover today? We're going to cover the 3 myths of filling your group programs. We're also going to talk about the group program sweet spot and how to know when you're ready, and then how to systematically fill your groups every single time. Because if you've ever run groups before, you know that it is a little bit of a risk, because if you don't have enough people to run a group, then you have to cancel it and you look like a tool. So obviously we don't want that to happen to you. We don't want you to be holding the bag. So I'm going to tell you how to make sure you fill them every single time. So the Holy Grail of coaching and services is to stop trading time for money and to really begin to leverage yourself. What you really want is a business where you have the flexibility and the financial ability to do whatever you want. That's why you started your business, because we all want that type of freedom. That is probably the most common denominator across all of the entrepreneurs, at least in my community. They want freedom in one way or another. A business where you are sharing your passion and calling in a way that makes a huge impact. That's another common denominator between the people I work with, is that they have a really strong message and a passion that they just want to share with the world. And a business where all of this starts from day one. And this is where that dream kind of takes a little bit of a nosedive because, as you know, building a business takes work, and you're not going to have all of this from day one, and which is why when we're talking about starting myths, starting your business, you're not going to be able to run groups from day one. I'm not going to say it's impossible, because obviously there's people that have done it and they have very particular strategies in how they do that, but for the vast majority of us, it's not really realistic. So I said that we were going to share 3 myths. I actually had 4 when I started actually putting together this presentation. So here are the myths of running groups. 1, you can start with groups and skip one-to-one altogether. Not recommended for a variety of reasons. 1, one-on-one is by far easier to sell than groups. Even though your one-to-one services are going to be at a higher price point and a higher investment, You would think that would make them harder to sell, but that's not the case, because you only need to sell one one-on-one package, or if you're selling a group, you need to sell multiple at once. If you don't already have an audience, that's going to be exponentially more difficult. The other thing is that if you're just starting your business, chances are you don't have a ton of experience in working with clients, taking them through your system, and getting them the results that you know you can get them. So if you start with a group, you're putting a lot more pressure on yourself, because running a group, you're having to manage a lot of different people at once. They might be in different stages. They might have different questions, different challenges, and you're actually creating more work for yourself. When you work one-on-one with people, you start to build a certain level of experience, and that experience can then be translated into your group programs later. So the two reasons why you don't want to start with groups is, one, you need to build an audience first, and two, in order for your group to be fantastic, you need to get the experience of working one-on-one. The second myth is, if you put your group offering on your website, people will sign up. This happens so often when I'm putting together websites for my clients. They want to create a group program and they want to put it on their website, and they think that that's enough. And yes, obviously if you have a sales page for your group, you're going to put it on your website. But it's not going to be an offering that's ongoing, because groups typically have specific start dates because everyone starts at the same time. Some groups might have a rolling admission. I have my own web copy workshops that people can jump in at any time because they're focusing on their own projects and it's more of a coaching program. The trouble here is that, again, you need to have the critical mass of an audience and a sales process in order to fill the group. So if you have it running all the time, you're not really being able to focus on specifically filling that group, and you're also, you're kind of spreading yourself really thin. You're doing the more hope and wait, hoping people sign up, and you're really not leveraging your efforts as well as you could. And we'll talk more about how to really fill the group in a different way. It's easy to run groups continuously. This is kind of echoing what's above. You're not going to be running a group that, maybe it's a 4-week program and you're going to be running it every single month. Sounds really tempting and like it would work out really well. What I have found in trying to do this, because I've tried it a few different times, either I had a 4-week branding game program that I tried running every month, or then I tried to make it every quarter, and then I eventually just gave up on that. Because as you'll see when we're talking about how to fill groups, unless you already have like a critical mass of traffic coming through in a very proven sales process, which some of you may, and you're probably a little bit further along in business, and that's something that you're going to aspire to, of course. But for the majority of the people watching this webinar, you're going to really need to focus your efforts in order to fill the group. And it will become difficult when you're running the group, when simultaneously marketing the next one, you're going to end up being overwhelmed. And unless this is going to be your sole business, chances are it's going to be taking your attention away from other activities in your business that are also bringing in revenue. And what it does is it takes away all that leverage that you were trying to create by creating a group in the first place. So don't plan on running it continuously. Run it once, see how things go, get a process in place, run it again a few months later. You'll find that it does begin to get easier. But the less pressure you put on yourself to be constantly filling, the more you're going to be able to enjoy yourself and the leverage that you're creating. And last myth, you don't need a list in order to fill a group. This is something that a lot of the gurus will tell you, oh, you don't need a list. I did this, from day one. And to a point, it's true. You don't technically need a list, which I believe we talk about in a future slide. But you do need a critical mass of an audience. So typically that is going to be your list, the community, the people, the raving fans that you've already been building a relationship with and that are already aware of you and waiting for this group. They're going to be your lowest hanging fruit. It's going to make filling your group so much easier. If you don't have a list, then you're going to need to create an audience in another way. So either way, your group is not just going to fill itself. You do need to have the marketing chops and the work done ahead of time in order to fill your group. So this is, again, not something that you're just going to snap your fingers and make happen. So what is the number one thing you need in order to fill a group? on audience. Whether that be the list you've already created, whether that be driving targeted traffic to a very specific page, whether that be finding joint venture opportunities and having other people promote your program, you need an audience. You need a critical mass of people all at once that are going to be interested in buying that product or program, because we're not just selling one-to-one and that's it. You need to sell a critical mass of spots in order to actually run the group in the first place. So an audience isn't just a list. Oh, I already talked about this. So let's just go through these really quickly. Targeted traffic that's interested in the offering can also be the audience. People that already trust you and are interested in working with you, that's going to be your list, your social media profiles, referrals, networking events that you're going to, those kinds of things. A critical mass of attention within a limited time frame. So again, this is why groups have very specific start dates, so that you can get that critical mass of people all at once, and you have a very defined time frame that you're filling the group in. In short, you need to already be getting leads. So already have traffic coming to your site, already have people inquiring about your services, already booking sales conversations on a regular basis. That is going to make filling your group way more easier. Or you need a working sales system in place. So if you are automating this, then you need to have a working sales funnel that you know is going to close people into this program. Alternatively, it might not just be totally automated, it might also be a working sales system, as in a webinar that leads into the group program that you'd be driving traffic to from joint ventures or mailing people to your list, that kind of thing. So how do you know if you're ready? So how do you know if you're ready to run a group? Because chances are, if you're watching this, you might be starting to think, okay, well, I don't have a list yet. I don't have an audience. I want to run groups, and that's okay. So how do you know when you're ready? What kind of goal are you looking for in order to know, now is the time for me to start running groups? So if you're working with 8 to 10 clients at a time, you're definitely ready. Because if you're getting 8 to 10 clients at a time, then one, you can do 8 to 10 people in a group. But also what that's telling you is you have a viable service. You probably already have that critical mass of an audience because you're getting that many leads. And you're also getting leads into strategy sessions or some type of sales process that's established that is working for you. And with some tweaks and some reworking or creating something new, you can turn that into something that fills people into your groups. If you have run successful promos to cold leads, then you're ready. So even if you're not working with 8 to 10 clients right now, because maybe that's well beyond your capacity, or you just, the price point you're in, you don't really need to be working with 8 to 10 clients. If you've run successful promos, so launching a webinar to someone else's audience, for example, that would be like a kind of a cold promo. They've never met you before. It's kind of slightly warm because they're being referred to you by someone. But if you've done that before and sold to an audience that was not your own, then you're probably ready, because that means that even if you don't have a huge list of your own, you could have other people promote the program. You could be running targeted traffic through ads or other types of marketing to get them into the sales cycle and let the sales cycle do its thing. If you're already getting a steady stream of leads from your marketing activity, then you're ready. So if you're getting multiple people inquiring about your services a month, if you're actively doing sales conversations, either if you're calling people or they're calling you, then you're ready. Because what you need is to have enough conversations with people that you can fill the spots in the group, just as you would be doing one-on-one, except it's going to be a little bit easier for you because it is probably a lower price point. The value is definitely there. And you're going to be really enthusiastic about selling this because it's going to just be kind of a win-win for everyone. You're going to free up more of your time. You're going to be making more money for that time, and your clients are going to be getting great service from you that they wouldn't be able to get because your one-on-one time is not as available. So what is the key to filling your group every single time? Focus. Let me tell you what that means. So when you're going to run a group, you need to focus on filling that group. That needs to be your #1 initiative. As you start to run groups and this becomes more second nature, this becomes a little bit easier. But for the most part, when you're starting and getting this process down, what you're going to do is you're going to set your target. So this is the date of the group. This is how many people I need in it. And then you're going to market your pants off and fill those spots. It's not a, I'm going to pray that I get 5 people in this group. I'm going to run an ad right to my sales page, and hopefully it'll fill. It's not going to happen. Everything you're doing in your business needs to be focused around this group, the topic, and getting the right audience to it. So your marketing should align with the topic to attract the right audience. So any blog posts you're writing need to serve the needs of the audience that would be looking for the group program you're going to offer. Social media, same thing. Interviews you're doing, same thing. Anything you're doing to market yourself, networking events, and you're talking about what you're doing, talk about the group. Talk about the topic that people are going to perk their ears up because they need it. That's going to be a targeted audience for that specific program. And really, this is how you fill anything. Even your one-on-one programs, you can still use this system. Your sales conversations will be to put people into the group. So if you're getting multiple leads a month and you've been selling them your one-to-one services, now you're going to be selling them into your group because you need this many people by this particular day. So if you're having a sales conversation and it seems like a good fit, you're going to pitch them the group. If it doesn't seem like a good fit, then you can still pitch them the one-to-one. But your main focus is going to be filling this group. You're going to call your old leads and offer them the group. So go back to all of your old contacts and people that maybe said not right now, or I can't really afford it, or I don't really have the time, or whatever those objections were. Go back to them and make a second offer. Unless they've outright said, no, I do not want to work with you for these reasons, that's not a no. They still were thinking about it. You probably fell off their radar. And now is your opportunity to go back to them with a different offer. And they may actually take you up on the one-to-one offer that you made originally because now it's the time. And last but not least, you're going to align your JV opportunities with filling your group. So if you're hosting webinars or you have other people that are ready to mail for you, this is what they're going to be mailing about. You're going to get that critical mass of people around the date that you're filling the groups. So competent marketers actually plan their JV opportunities, actually do their outreach well in advance to get people on board to promote when they know that they're going to be launching a program. So as you can see, all signs point to group. Everything in your business, every sales initiative that you're doing, any marketing is all going to be toward this group. This is how you coordinated launch. And when you do this, you will fill your groups every single time, as long as you have the audience and you have a working sales system. So if you have those signs that you're ready for a group, then this is how you're going to fill your first one. And you'll repeat this every single time. So in conclusion, groups are awesome and they're leveraged, but they're not necessarily easy to fill if you're just starting out. You need to have that critical mass of audience as well as the experience to be able to deliver a really good group. So start with one-on-one if you're just starting out. The #1 thing you need to run a group is an audience. And if you want to go well, you need the experience, which I just said. Sorry, I keep repeating myself. Taking people through your material, so start with one-on-one. Launching a group is a lot like launching any other program. And having a focused strategy where all signs point to that one thing you want to sell is going to go a long way. So I hope that this information was helpful. I know it's a little bit, contrarian to what you may have heard, which is, you need to be leveraging yourself. You need to be running groups. They're easy to fill. You don't need to list all of those things. Yes, those can be reality. There are specific strategies for doing that. But again, for the vast majority of us, not going to be sustainable, not going to work out the way we would like to. And what ends up happening is we feel like failures when they don't work, when in reality, it's just you kind of can't put the cart before the horse. You need to build up to that level in your business that you can actually really start leveraging yourself. Because if you're just starting out and you're already saying, I don't have time to work with clients and I need to be leveraging myself, then you really need to be looking at what you're actually doing in your business, because either your pricing is not enough, or you're not, you're focusing on activities that are not really serving you. There's something wrong there. If you're just starting out, that's the caveat here. You're just starting out and you don't have time to actually work with one-on-one clients. So think about that. Think about what what could you be doing to be working with one-on-one clients, to be ready for groups? What could you be doing to be building that critical mass of audience that you could start leveraging and start creating group programs? Because I love group offerings. I love doing training. I love group coaching. It's a totally different dynamic than when you're working one-on-one. I get really absorbed in my one-on-one clients. I kind of treat their businesses and their projects as if they are my own. So it's a little bit kind of all-consuming. And groups are really fun because it allows me to play a little bit more, and you get feedback from each other, and you start to build a community, which is also a lot of fun. So I love groups. I hope that you guys are able to start putting them together and filling them, and hopefully this information was helpful to help you do that. So what are we talking about next week? Next week we will be back Wednesday, 12 o'clock Eastern, and the topic is, do logos really matter? Coming from a branding person, we do a lot of logos, and we're going to talk about, what impact does a logo really have on your business? Is it worth investing in? And what are some pitfalls that people fall into when they're creating their logos, as well as, what are some ways to leverage your logo? Because I believe that your logo is much more than just a stamp that says who you are, some kind of symbol. And the way we incorporate logos into a brand is really to incorporate them throughout the visual identity. And as you can see, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but the baby's waking up right on time. So if you guys have any questions about this, email me, holly@thelandofbrand.com. If you have any topics that you would like to see in the future, then email holly@thelandofbrand.com and let me know what your questions are, and I will make sure that they make it onto next month's calendar. So I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye, everyone.